Welcome to Inside Eugene. I'm your host, Marin Stewart. Each episode, we take you behind the scenes of library, recreation, and cultural services to meet the people and programs that make the Eugene, Oregon community shine. Today, we're stepping into summer with Artistic Encounters, the free lunchtime concert series that brings live music, dance, and creativity to the heart of downtown. I'm joined by Jeremy Schropp from Harmonic Laboratory, one of the key collaborators behind the series. We'll talk about how Artistic Encounters started, how performers are chosen, and why these weekday concerts have become such a beloved part of Eugene's warm weather rhythm. Grab your lunch and settle in. This is a fun one. Welcome, Jeremy.
Nice to be here. Yeah, thank you for having me.
First of all, just give me an overview of what Artistic Encounters is.
Artistic Encounters is a free public community event series that tries to bring a little bit of whimsy and wonder to the downtown core. The program actually first started as the city busking program. So it was, I believe it was Hi-Fi, the bar that was downtown. They were actually running the busking program for 1 year. And then it came up for renewal. They had actually a request for proposals, and we submitted to it. Hi-Fi didn't want to do it after that first year. And then once we actually won the contract, then we've actually been, just kind of taken over from there. And the whole point was just to have something that highlights kind of the creative and artistic diversity that Eugene has to offer.
Awesome. I love that. And sounds like this is mostly during summer. When does this happen?
Every year, typically it runs from May through September, and it's kind of midweek programming. So it's usually Tuesday, Wednesdays, Thursdays. And then we also support National Dance Week, which is 1 or 2 weeks and towards the end of April too. So our season usually starts then. This year it's completely in Kesey Square. So every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from noon to 1 down there. We do collaborate with the farmers market as well sometimes. So we've occasionally had performances over at Park Blocks.
And then is there a bias toward a certain type of music, or is it just all across the board?
I try to keep it as diverse as possible. So just to be as representative of the community as we can be. So I think the only thing that we don't usually bring in is really loud, amplified, like heavy metal and punk and things like that. So just because of the businesses downtown, we don't want to be too disruptive.
Understandable. Yeah, don't want to be blasting through somebody's workday.
Yeah.
So tell me, you talked a little bit about kind of the busking, but how did Artistic Encounters get started and how long has it been running?
So we actually kind of built upon the busking program that they had. They wanted something that was a little bit more, I guess, localized, where it was in static locations. So I wrote a proposal to kind of transition that event series into kind of our own take on things. And it's been running since the summer of 2018. So this is actually our 9th summer doing it. And the first couple of years, actually, it was kind of the pre-COVID era. I brought in artists of all types. So it wasn't just music focused. We actually had visual artists. I brought in magicians, things like that. Brought in a traveling circus that we had a performance down at Park Blocks one night. But then COVID kind of changed everything. But that was also kind of a really nice outlet for everybody during COVID too, because they could actually meet and experience some music.
Yeah, totally.
They couldn't be around anybody else inside.
Have something to do, something to look forward to outside.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. So how do you typically select artists or ensembles? How do you choose who gets to play in Kesey Square every day?
For the most part, the first couple of years, actually, we had an open call for the artists. So then I would just communicate with them directly, check out some of if they had anything on YouTube or anything like that, or Spotify or any other kind of the music recording websites. So I kind of auditioned them all. And for the most part, because I want to be as representative as I can of the city, if they meet, it doesn't have to be an extraordinarily high standard, but if they represent what's going on in town, then I usually try to book them.
And how do you kind of ensure that diversity of artists? Is it just whoever comes, or do we have certain themes or things like that?
For the most part, the general programming is kind of first come, first serve. So this year I had about 85 bands that requested a booking slot, and we only have about 65. So that I actually kind of had to turn about 20 away. And that was all kind of based on first come, first serve. But we do have some specialized programming weeks. We have our LGBTQ Artist Spotlight Week that runs the last week in June. We have a BIPOC Artist Spotlight Week, which runs the last week in July. And then we have our Latinx Artist Spotlight Week, which runs in the last week of August. Try to incorporate as much diversity as we can. Thankfully, we have actually a lot of bands that have quite a bit of diversity within them already too. So it's nice to have some like specialized spotlight weeks as well.
Sweet. Very cool. I love that. Love the themes. What kind of feedback have you gotten from Eugene residents or downtown workers about artistic encounters? And off of that, what do you hope people take away from the event?
I think the main thing is just to kind of showcase the diversity that we have in town. Overwhelmingly, our response has been really positive all the way through. We average about 250 to 300 people that walk through the space every day too. And I don't know, I think it just kind of livens up that little corner that can be pretty quiet during the week. And I don't know, provides a little bit of, lifts the spirits a bit and provides some activity for the food carts and everything else. But it's pretty nice. And all of our events are obviously family friendly, so anybody can come down too. I think it's more about like creating that atmosphere downtown to where they feel like safe and welcomed to be down there more than anything. As I said before, we had different art practices that we incorporated at the beginning of the program, and that was kind of to foster that as well. Just to, have an activity that people will come and do and see. Like a lot of people have preconceptions about downtown, and I think that kind of helps them acclimate to it and gives them a reason to come down and explore a little bit more too.
Totally. Yeah. And then off of that, how do you think that Artistic Encounters contributes to public safety or contributes to economic development downtown?
I think the overall draw has been pretty significant. So and we've had very positive feedback from even the commercial businesses that are around. So I know that the increased foot traffic, also just having people down there, city employees that are actually running as the park host, things like that, provides them an opportunity to be there to kind of keep a watchful eye on things, but not kind of in an overbearing way, I guess,
Are there any past performances that have really stood out to you that are particularly special for one reason or another?
I think it kind of goes back to our first couple of years when we were incorporating some of the other art forms. I did bring in a traveling circus from Washington State. We had a really amazing kind of pop-up circus performance in the middle of the park blocks. We also did a few projection-based events in the evenings. So we would take over alleyways back behind the lane college campus downtown, and then over kind of the alleyway that's right by where the new farmers market pavilion is, right around that corner there. And then I think one of my favorites too is we actually contracted Bain Gardner to do a mural on the back of one of the buildings right back here behind the city building downtown. And that's kind of one of my favorite permanent markings that's always kind of on the walls of Eugene that's come from the program.
Very cool. And now what's your favorite part about putting this all together?
Mine is just getting to know the actual musicians in town. I've always been pretty well connected through graduate studies at the University of Oregon, their School of Music and Dance, but it's been really, really nice just being aware of the diversity of musical styles, everything else, and then getting, developing relationships with the actual performers over the years too.
Well, I don't want to ask you to pick favorites, but I'm going to ask you what have been either your favorite kind of music styles that you've seen come through or your favorite artists.
I think we have a really strong folk and bluegrass community here, and those bands are usually they're my favorites, and I think they're kind of some of the fan favorites as well. They probably get more people up and dancing than any other style too. So
tell me a little bit more about your role specifically with Harmonic Laboratory.
So Harmonic Laboratory is a multidisciplinary arts collective. So each of us kind of specialize in our own field. We have modern dance, projection mapping, data systems, and then I'm more of a traditional composer. So each of us kind of use our specialties and then try to create interdisciplinary works. That's what led us to do things like producing suburban projections as well. And then we've done shows for the stage, collaborated with Eugene Symphony. We did the Color of Sound performance a couple years ago. And so we're always trying to kind of stay on the cutting edge of how do we blend these things together and make innovative art in our current current time, I guess. So that's my primary role, is kind of on the composition side of things. But I've also had a lot of experience doing event coordination and production. So it was relatively simple. Could still use my skill set to take over kind of the production responsibilities of the series too.
And so beyond artistic encounters, you've kind of talked about some of these other art installations. Tell me what more that you all do.
We've done several installations over in the High Desert Museum. And we received a Creative Heights grant from the Oregon Community Foundation. That would have been in 2018 when we did a stage show on the life and work of Nikola Tesla. So it's kind of all over the place. But lately, I think we've been focusing more on interactive installations. We're always kind of trying to push the boundary on the technical side of things too. I think done a lot of things with like projection mapping. So yeah.
And if people wanted to see more either about Harmonic Laboratory or Artistic Encounters, where could they go?
You always go to our general website, which is harmoniclab.org. We do have an events page too, so it's harmoniclab.org/events.
Thanks for listening to Inside Eugene, and a huge thank you to Jeremy Schropp for giving us a closer look at how Artistic Encounters brings downtown to life each summer. If you're in the neighborhood on a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday at lunchtime, be sure to swing by and experience the music and creativity for yourself. If you enjoyed this episode, follow the show and share it with a friend or coworker who loves getting to know our community. Until next time, I'm Marin Stewart. Thanks for being a part of our community story. And thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you.